Now, after months of holding back, Bank of America has agreed to hand over documents related to its $29 billion purchase of Merrill Lynch. The deal is awaiting court approval, but if it goes through, the bank would waive attorney-client privilege as well as allow regulators access to the legal advice that they received on that deal. Joining me now for some context and some explanation is former federal prosecutor Doug Burns. And Doug, let's start with the fact that does Bank of America want to settle? Is this an indication that it does?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. They definitely seem as though they want to settle. As you recall, Scarlet, Judge Rakoff rejected the settlement back in the middle of September. And the SEC specifically said, Judge, we can't prove securities fraud because so much information was developed by attorneys, by counsel. We can't do that. So this is a logical step, in my view, towards them wanting to settle, exactly as you said.
What do you think the documents would likely show?
Yeah, no, that's what everybody's wondering this morning. Some analysts and observers are saying, wow, it's going to be interesting to see the actual personnel, the dramatis personae. In other words, which lawyers were involved, what advice did they give?
People want names.
Exactly, what executives were involved. Because it was a controversial situation where it's like, wait, did they hide the fact that these huge bonuses were going to be paid? Did they hide the fact that they may want to back out of the deal? And again, attorney-client privilege was this massive block and this massive shield. So again, the other part, answer to your question, is they're not really going to get probably a lot of, substantive material, but they'll find out who did what, who was involved.
Are we going to get any airing of dirty laundry?
Possibly. I mean, that's what people are saying. They say it could prove somewhat embarrassing in terms of the different roles of different people. I mean, I think what happened too, Scarlet, is the AG got kind of aggressive. They apparently may have threatened to, charge individuals, which, led to this re-upping of wanting to settle the matter before Judge Rakoff.
Now, speaking of the AG, is there a potential for perjury if the documents contradict statements that were made to New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo?
Absolutely. Excellent point. Of course, in white-collar criminal investigations and defense and prosecutions, that becomes a huge issue. In other words, if you can't prove an underlying crime, well, somebody may have lied. Martha Stewart. No, the point is she really technically didn't commit securities fraud, and the U.S. attorney said we wouldn't have even charged her, but she went in and gave an untruthful account. So, sure, that's on the table, too. One other thing that's in play as well is what you call advice of counsel. So
you were talking about that earlier.
Exactly. In business context, very often I want to do something. Let's bring it to this case. I want to do something in connection with the BOA takeover of Merrill Lynch. So I go to lawyers and I say, can I do that? And they give you an opinion. That sets up a legal defense very often, which is I relied on the legitimate advice of counsel. So here, that may be part of this equation and calculus a little bit, but that's a little harder to tell.
Does it give people cover?
Yeah, it does. That's right, because the point is, particularly in white-collar cases where, you're not talking about something as obvious as, killing somebody or stealing something. These are very technical offenses. Securities fraud is very complicated. I'm involved in it on a daily basis. And the fact of the matter is that it can provide cover. And a lot of times clients ask attorneys for opinion letters as to whether conduct is acceptable, Scarlet.
Now, very quickly,
Sure.
How long before we start to see the documents?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be relatively quick because people are following the case fairly closely, but relatively quick on attorney and court time, which is not, tomorrow. But
Right.
it'll start developing in the next, week, 2 weeks, something like that.
Okay, so we'll start to see things before the end of the year.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I've been speaking with former federal prosecutor Doug Burns here in New York.